Hey guys, Numemon here for another deck profile, and as you can see, we're looking at Numemon, but for BT17. This deck basically didn't really get much support, unless you count the starter deck that's going to be out at some point, the one with Syndromon. We do get a new, was it like Shinmonzemon, but that one doesn't really factor into this deck as much. The deck honestly hasn't really changed much, but I just wanted to do an updated deck profile on some of the stuff I did change. So yeah, I just wanted to put this as a quick deck profile so you guys can see what I've done with it. So first off, we're still running the 4 Sunomons. We're still running the black base because it gets us the most draw power compared to the purple engine is really nice and all, but the thing is that it lacks the ability to digivolve up, which can hurt you in certain instances. So I opt for the black base because of that. We are still also running the old Tokomon because sometimes your opponent does like to kill your Ukomons, and this will punish them for it by giving you an extra draw. Then for level 3s, we're of course running 4 Ukos. Gaining 1 memory and hatching a new egg is still busted. 4 of the BT16 Uko because this one specifically lets us search the top 3 cards and adds a Tamer or a Digimon, which is really broken. And of course hatches us a new egg, and it's a really good way to pass them to 1 on turn 1, so pretty cool. We run the 2 Chumon specifically to stop them from gaining memory, so against decks like Imperial and like Galaxy, it hurts them really bad. Then we run 2 Chikurimons, which hurts any deck that uses Digicrossing, which is basically the hybrid decks, and Blue Flare, basically, which are the only ones I can think of. Oh, yeah, and Shakamon, technically. But yeah, really cool. That's basically all for the rookies. As you can see, our rookies are basically skewed towards Uko because it helps us rush as fast as possible and get us more advantage. Then we run 4 Garamons because most of this deck does have Numemon in its name, so you do get to discard and draw 2, which is really strong. We run the 4 Numemon X because it makes it so we can play a Numemon X upon deletion, either through his main effect or through on deletion. Then we run 2 of the Numemons from the Digipolice because it helps us play out our Setsuki and gives a guy rush. 2 of the Numemon from Rising Wind because this one on deletion, which has happened a lot because the opponent wants to get rid of this, so I can't evolve into Numemon X. When it dies, it gets to grab a card with Monze and one with Nume in its name, and of course its inherit gives us blocker as long as it's a Monze or Numemon. For level 5s, we are running the 5 Monzemon because Monzemon is still one of the most busted level 5s next to Pyodramon. There's a reason why this card is almost $20 because it's just really the best level 5 at the moment. It gets to do minus 3,000, it gets to do minus 1 security, and it gets to add you 2 memory. That's pretty good. Then we run Monze X, the second best level 5 at the moment, because you can evolve this on top of the Monze and start swarming the board and do DP minus at the same time. And the cool thing is that its effect isn't on just your turn, so if you somehow play a Digimon on your opponent's turn, it triggers the effect. So with Cherubi Ace, this actually can proc off, and it's really strong. Then we run 2 Edamon because Edamon is there basically to force your opponent to attack and give them a minus 3,000 DP, which allows you to basically force them to swing, and then you can ace them and delete their board. So really strong. For level 6s, we of course are running 3 of the Platinum Numemon. Actually, let me put this over here. We're running 3 of the Platinum Numemon because he is really good. On play, you can discard a Numemon, gain 2. On deletion, he gets to play a level 5 or lower card with Monze or Numemon in its trait, or in its name. Then we run 3 Valkyremon Aces because Valk Ace is still super busted in the format. It's basically a smaller Ruin mode, but on your opponent's turn. And of course, if they swing in and they get DP reduced down below 8,000, they basically die because of his secondary all turns effect. Then we run 2 Venusmons because red is red deck. There's still a bunch of red decks in the format, and of course it does stop a lot of when digivolving effects like Blue Hybrid and basically anything in tier 1 and 2 and 3. Basically, it just stops their effects from going off because almost everything relies on when digivolving. So this really hurts them. Then for level 7s, we of course run 1 Def X for Swarm decks to de-digivolve and wipe their boards. Ruin mode, the same thing, DP minus and potentially the healing aspect of it. The rest of the deck is just options and tamers, but as you can see, most of the deck is already Digimon, so we don't really have that many to go through. For the option, we only run one, and that is the 2X antibody protoforms. This is basically there so that you can evolve into the Monze X when you don't have the Monze. And of course, it's still going to cost you at least 2 memory, but that's fine because you still get to swarm the board and kill something, so really strong. And of course, this one makes it so that if that Monze were to die, you can grab something back from its source. So if you're missing a piece to do it all over again next turn, you can just grab that piece and then do it again. And of course, this places itself into security so that you basically have an extra security check for them to go through. For Tamers, we are of course running 2 Louis because Louis is still really good in conjunction with Uko because you can rush faster. Then we have Satsuki because this being a Numemon and Manzimon deck, you can give them jamming and reboot, which is really strong because if you set up a really good blocker and they try to swing in, you just Valk Ace them. And of course, you can detach this at at the end of any turn, so you can basically keep it underneath somebody like a Monze that you know that's not going to die. Then you detach it on the end of their turn, and you still get that extra memory. But yeah, that's basically the deck. As you can see, there's not really much change. The only changes I did was including the new Edamons, including one more Valk Ace, and basically yeah, that's the only changes. I did try out the purple base before, but it just didn't really feel good. And going forward, a lot of people actually did drop the purple base because of the fact that you just can't digivolve. I actually had a specific locals that I played at with this deck before way back before even Valk Ace, where I basically was bricking into all of my level 5s, but I managed to get one level 4, and because of the fact that I had a Chikurimon out on the field, I digivolved it into the Numemon, and then I digivolved it up into the Monze, which did help me set up the board. So it you might think that it doesn't factor in, but sometimes being able to digivolve on top of like even just a Chumon or a Chikurimon can make the difference in the game. So I highly recommend running the black base more than the purple because it just feels more solid. With the rookie lineup, the only things you really need are the Ukos, but the other 4 you can do it however you want. I actually before I was running like one of this, one of the Pillowmon, one of the Lunamon, and then one of the Gatsumon that was red. So I had like a whole color palette in the rookies, while the rest was basically this. So it's really cool that this deck can just like make all its rookies different colors if it really wanted to. So if you did run like Heaven's Judgment, you could potentially like minus DP like almost up to 24,000 if you really tried. But yeah, I know this is kind of short, but I just wanted to put this out as kind of a template for people to check out and see what the new improvements are. This deck doesn't really change that much in this format because it already has everything it needs to succeed and still has basically all the tools to counter almost everything in the meta, surprisingly, which is really funny because this deck has been basically out since before BT15, so it's already been like 3 formats and it's still basically the top deck. So I don't know what's going on. But it's cool that we can continue to basically play the same deck, especially those that invested in this deck like I did. So, yeah, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time.